Hey, what's up? And welcome back to my YouTube channel. I haven't posted on this channel in over a year and a half, and boy, has a lot changed in the last year and a half. I've gone viral on TikTok, moved in with my girlfriend, and the purpose of today's video is talking about how I quit college football. I decided to quit, stop playing, leave the team, whatever you want to call it, for my fifth and final season of college football. So I've played 4 years, and based off the NCAA eligibility clock, that means I still have one more year, my fifth year, my senior season of college football. First of all, why? Why did I do this? Well, for number one, with the COVID pandemic and everything that was going on, I think there was a lot of uncertainty around the season. For pretty much the entire offseason, I was training at home, and that's what pretty much every college football player in America was doing. Working out in the garage, working out in the backyard, doing whatever I can to find dumbbells and find spare weights and get a workout in because gyms were closed, and there was just a lot of uncertainty around the season. We were doing football meetings on Zoom, and we were trying the best we could, and I commend the coaches, absolutely. They did the best they could, but ultimately, there just wasn't a ton of leadership from the NCAA all the way from the top on down. There wasn't any clear decisions being made yet. And that's what led me to just feel so much uncertainty, so much anxiety around not knowing what was going to happen during the football season, assuming the football season would likely be postponed till the spring or canceled altogether, but just ultimately not knowing. So all this time I was working and preparing in this new weird environment, this crazy pandemic that was going on around the world, and also simultaneously not really being sure when there would be a football season or if there would be a football season. So all of that uncertainty coupled with the added factor of my business doing really well. I'm not ashamed to say that my business during the pandemic really did well, and I think it makes sense because my business as an online entrepreneur and teaching other people how they can do the same, it makes sense that that would increase when everyone's at home. If everyone's at home and working from home, that means more people are realizing the possibility of creating an online income and different passive income streams and multiple streams of income and growing their marketing presence and their Instagram presence and just generally using social media and different online platforms to grow their brand. It makes sense that that grew during the pandemic. And so I'm not ashamed to say that my business was doing really well. So during this time, I was dealing with the anxiety and the stress of just not knowing what the heck was going on with football. And also the joy, the satisfaction, and the real passion that was burning inside me to help people and to continue to grow my business, my entrepreneurship, my future career that would one day provide for me and my family. So on one hand, that was really, really firing me up, and the football thing was really causing me a lot of stress and anxiety. And I eventually got to the point where I said, I don't want to go back, but I don't want to be the one who makes that decision. I was basically saying that I hope football gets postponed to the spring so that I have an easier decision. It's a much easier conversation to talk to your coach and say, hey, coach, season was postponed by 6 months or season was canceled or whatever their decision may be. And it's much easier then to say, okay, well, now I'm going to move on with my life. I'm going to graduate and I'm going to move to this next chapter. It's much more difficult, or at least I thought it was much more difficult to just cut the ties early and to say, coach, I don't know what's going on yet. I know there's not a decision made officially, but I have decided that I'm not going forward with my senior season. No matter what the decision is, I am not moving on to that next season. I am leaving the team and moving on to the next chapter of my life. And to be totally honest with you, that was probably the hardest decision I've ever had to make in my life. Definitely the hardest decision that I've ever had to then communicate in my life. And it would be a big lie if I said I did it on my own. It was definitely with the help of my parents, with my girlfriend, and with my therapist, which is, I guess, the first tip that I can give you if you are struggling with a major life decision, or there's something that you want for your life, but you're just living a lie, or there's something that you want to do, something that you have a passion for, but you're scared to make that leap or scared to make that jump or scared to just start. That the first thing I would recommend is find a support group, have friends and family around you, surround yourself with people who are going to support you. Whether that's a therapist, a counselor, a friend, a cousin, a relative, Find that support group who can lift you up and encourage you. And I know that that was hugely important for me in making this decision, and then communicating that decision, because that was probably the toughest part for me, was actually calling up my coaches and having that phone call, telling them that the guy who the year before had won the Teammate of the Year award now wasn't even going to be returning for the season next year. So that was a really, really tough phone call to make. And it took me probably a week or two to make it. I kept putting it off. I kept waiting because I was scared. And ultimately what I was scared of was I was scared of disappointing my coaches. I was scared of disappointing my friends. I was scared of letting them down. I was putting my assumed expectations. So I assumed that they had an expectation of me above. I was putting that above what my own wants and desires for my life were. And ultimately, it caused a lot of problems in my life. I was so stressed out. My left eye was twitching for like 2 weeks straight. Like 2 weeks straight, my eye was just twitching, bugging me like crazy. I was having a tough time sleeping. I was extremely short-tempered. It was like I was hangry 24/7. I'd be totally fine. And then one minor, tiny, itsy bitsy little inconvenience, and my fuse was snapped, and I was angry and getting upset and short-tempered and even raising my voice, things that are not super normal for me. So it was affecting me personally. It was also affecting my relationships because I was so short-tempered and because I was so stressed out. I wasn't enjoyable to be around. I wasn't my normal fun self. The decision that I had made and the communication then had to happen was weighing on me, and it was affecting my relationships. And of course, because I pushed this decision out, it was affecting my business too. I wasn't able to have as many coaching calls or do as many live webinars, or I just wasn't able to focus on my business totally because part of my energy was still being sucked to this thing that I just wasn't in anymore. My heart wasn't in the football meetings, and it wasn't in the football workouts and all of that. It was somewhere else, but yet my energy couldn't be spent on those other things because I still had the commitment to football, because I hadn't broken that chain yet. Eventually, late on a Friday night, I did end up calling one of my coaches, and I was totally relieved. I was admittedly shaking, and my heart was beating through my chest during that conversation. It felt like I was on a first date, except for in the negative way, not in the positive way. And it was actually a really, really rewarding conversation. And truly, every conversation I had with every one of my coaches and every one of my teammates and friends has gone better and went better than I expected. They've been 100% supportive, 100% encouraging, understanding, even giving me like words of affirmation and advice for my future. Not trying to win me over or tell me to change or give me something else to do, but rather just supporting my decision. And that's because they know that it's what's best for me. And they know that because it's what I have communicated with them, and it's what I know is best for me. So if you're ready to take that leap or take that next step or venture into that new territory, don't forget what could go right. And don't forget that people can sometimes exceed your expectations and things can go better than you ever even dreamed of. People will be maybe even more encouraging. Of course, it's possible that things don't go perfect, that not everyone is totally 100% on board with your new venture and your new life and your new decisions. But why wait? Why live in fear? So that's why I decided to quit football, forego my senior season, move up to Seattle, and start working full time. If this is your first time on my YouTube channel, thank you so much for being here. So happy to have you. I would really appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button and hit the little bell right next to it to be notified every time I upload a new video. I'll have another video coming up soon about why I picked Seattle and why I ended up moving here from sunny Southern California.